I'm going to be sharing with you in this video how to take radical action and manifest the life that you really want doing it. Because the thing is that most people are just not willing to take the action. And this is something that a lot of people just don't want to hear. They don't want to hear that one of the most important things that you need to do in your life is to take action. Action is critical. See, what I believe truly is that inaction is actually action. So if you're in a state of resistance and you're stuck, that in of itself is actually a choice. Most people don't want to hear this truth because they think that by making the choice to stay stuck, and yes, I do believe that it is a choice. I know that this is a really sensitive topic. I know that many people will disagree, but in my personal opinion, to stay stuck, it is a choice. Now, although many people don't want to admit it in that state that it is a choice, when you come on the other side of it, what you'll come to realize is that it was in fact a choice and that you can get out of it. And the one thing that you're going to want to do once you get on the other side of that resistance is you're going to want to share with others how to take radical action to get out of that. And then you're going to want to help others. I'm going to be sharing with you in this video exactly how to do this so that you can finally really step into the life that you really want and stop staying stuck in these states of resistance that you kind of believe that you have to stay stuck in. So if you're new to this channel, what I want you to do is I want you to hit that subscribe button. I want you to hit that notification bell because I do actually post a new video every single day. Also, if you want to work with me one-on-one personally, all the details for that will be down below. Now, the first thing that I want to share with you in this video, that in my experience personally, look, I don't know how it is for other people, but for me personally, affirmations are essential. I'm not saying to dishonor how you feel or to positively think to the point where you're pretending that you don't feel how you feel. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying though is that the mind is a tool, and if you don't use your mind in a precise and conscious and intentful way to gain a certain trajectory in your life, what will happen is that you're just going to be going in a different direction continuously, and you're going to think that it's happening by a random. But no, it's not random. What happens is that when you choose a thought, what you're doing is you're sending yourself to a certain trajectory. So you can do a thought, you can think a thought that maybe is something you're imagining yourself to be in the present moment. That's one way to do it. You can also just think a thought that inspires you to be something better. Personally, for me, I need to think a thought that I want to be in this present moment. And I completely understand that many people think that it's too new agey or that it's not something that is realistic. But hey, have you ever actually tried it? Have you ever tried? Because for me personally, I resisted doing affirmations in the present tense for multiple years, and I thought it was too new agey. But now I realize that you can think of it as just kind of like a goal. It's a goal that you're setting yourself to become something. You're imagining yourself to be this person, and you're creating boundaries automatically. When you're affirming something, you're creating a boundary where you're not going to be participating in other things. Because when you focus on one thing, you're giving it your attention. And when you give it your attention, you're going to stop giving your attention to all the things that you used to be automatically, because what you focus on actually grows. However you want to see it, you want to see it as a new age concept. You want to see it as just something that you're setting a goal. It doesn't matter. Whatever helps you to get out of that stuck, like you're in this kind of rut energy where you feel like a victim, that's going to be a positive way to think. Now, I'm not telling you how to live your life, but what I will share with you is that for me personally, affirmations are essential. They are essential. For me, they are non-negotiable. I need to be taking control of my mind to feel like a sane and grounded human being. I don't know what kind of life you're personally interested in. I don't know where you are on your journey. I'm personally interested in being a grounded human. Yes, I like to explore what some people call the higher realms, but I'm personally at a point in my life where I see very little difference between spirituality and life, as if these things were ever separate. I don't believe these things are separate. I don't believe that these things are contradictions. I think that spirituality and life are completely one. There's no separation between these two things. And for me personally, I need to tell myself a story. I think that the stories that we tell ourselves define our life. And I know that this is a sensitive topic for many people because it can contradict how you feel. It's like, oh, but I feel this way, Francis, but I feel this way, but this is not how I really am. What about this situation? What about this? Look, for me personally, the more that I kept talking about my problems and the stories of who I didn't want to be, I kept manifesting them more. And I'm not saying there's not a safe space to share those stories, to talk about these stories, but even through that whole process, you could be thinking in your mind who you prefer to be instead. I'm not saying to not truly honor how you feel. I'm not saying to be dishonest. I'm not saying to not tell people what you truly feel. But during that whole process, are you conscious of who you prefer to be? Are you conscious of the person that you want to become? I think that affirmations, if you're interested in taking radical action, if you're interested in staying in flow, if you're interested in not allowing your consciousness to stay stuck in one place and then be defined by that one state, because think about it, many people are literally stuck in a state and they define their entire identity by that one state, such as a state of suffering, such as a state of resistance, such as a state of pain. They define themselves as that pain. They say, oh, this is me, this pain, this feeling of, oh, I'm stuck here, this is me, this is me, this is me. It's maybe something you're experiencing in that moment, but it doesn't necessarily have to be you unless you decide that it is, unless you define yourself to be that. And you can take radical action to get yourself out of that state. And that can be really triggering for people, I understand. It can be incredibly triggering because it's like, I don't want to take radical action, I want to stay stuck here, I want to be comfortable. Here's my experience. Is it really that comfortable? Is it really comfortable to be stuck? It's not. It was never comfortable for me. For me personally, the more that I decided to stay stuck and stay stuck in these negative loops in my life, I was very uncomfortable. I was very uncomfortable. The comfort that I used to stay stuck in my life, and I decided to stay stuck there, was actually my greatest prison. And so what you can realize is that comfort can become your greatest prison. Comfort is an illusion. It's not actually real. This false sense of comfort and security that we believe we can ground ourselves in is completely false. What you want to ground yourself in my personal experience, is your identity, who you prefer to be, who you define yourself as. Personally, for me, the one sense of security that I know I truly have in my life, no matter what happens, is who I decide to be. Who I decide to be is my true sense of security. And I know this can be very, very triggering to people. This can bring up a lot of emotion because it's like, well, what about this, Francis? What about this? What about that? I understand. Look, I understand. I'm not here to dishonor the past. I'm not here to dishonor the negative situations in your life. I'm not here to dishonor any negative emotions. But if you want to move forward, you have to start looking at those emotions and be like, you know what? These emotions that I'm feeling in my body, these negative situations that I'm feeling in my body, this negative situation that's causing these emotions in my body, it's like, you got to be like, you don't want to allow that to define you, to keep you stuck. You don't want to allow that to define you, to keep you stuck, because that negative energy that you're allowing to define you and keep you stuck is going to be controlling you. Unless you control it, it will control you. If you don't control your emotions will control you. If you don't control how you feel, your feelings will control you. And I know, again, that's sensitive topic. Well, what do you mean control how you feel? That's crazy, Francis. Is it? Is it so crazy? Is it so crazy to control how you feel? I think it's, you know what I think is crazy? Not controlling how you actually feel. I think that's crazy. I think that what people call crazy is sane, and what people call sane is actually insane. I think that a lot of society, I'm not going to generalize the public here because I don't want to make any generalizations. I want everybody to understand this truth. But I personally think that many people have it completely backwards. What they've done is that they've called emotional control crazy, when I think if you're going to say anything is crazy, I think the craziest thing to do is to stay stuck in a consciousness loop of negativity and define yourself as some pain that you don't even want to be. Or define yourself that this state of consciousness where I feel resistance, this is me, me. Oh my gosh, why do I feel this way? And then you tell everybody about it. Now again, I'm not saying to be dishonest, I tell people about it if you feel you have to. But what I'm saying is to always keep your mind's eye clear and who you prefer to be. The second thing that I want to share with you in this video is to stop making excuses. Stop making excuses. Like, it's just as simple as that. Like, do you want to make yourself of something? Do you want to become something? Do you want to become something more? Do You want to become something better? Stop making excuses. The only way that you're ever going to get out of a negative rut out of your life is to stop making excuses and take radical action. Now, I know how that sounds. It's like, well, what about effortless alignment? What about effortless action? What about all these things that you've said in your past videos? Everything that I'm sharing in this video has zero contradiction to effortless alignment. Effortless alignment, I'll give you a perfect example of what it is. All it is having a goal in your mind and then taking the aligned action towards that goal. So that means you feel resistance in your body. That means you feel negative energy in your body. That means you don't feel how you want to feel. Guess what you do? You get up, you stop making excuses, and you get up and you get yourself out of that state. It's not about taking action in order to feel more miserable. That's not the goal. The goal is not to go take more action to increase your level of resistance and negativity. That's not the goal. The goal is to take action in order to feel less resistance. That's the whole point of radical action, of taking radical action, is keeping your mind's eye on the goal. And then when you uplift yourself, you can then understand like, oh yeah, I really understand I was stuck here. And then you know what you're gonna wanna do? You're gonna have a desire to then go back and then share with other people how they can do the same thing in their own life, because you'd be like, yep, it was a story that I was telling myself that I believed I had to be stuck in. You'll realize that for yourself. You'll realize for yourself that the key is to stop making excuses. You'll realize for yourself that the key is to stop telling yourself a story that you don't even like, that somebody told you on the internet or something that you read on Google or whatever it is. So the key is to stop making excuses and go be the person that you want to be. Stop making excuses and go be that person that you really want to be. That's the most important thing when it comes to manifestation. So what I want to conclude this video with is to be who you want regardless of your fear. That's what I believe. To be who you want regardless of your fear. Look, your fear is always going to try to convince you of certain things. But you have to remain firm in who you know you are in the fear. In the fear. While you're in the fear, you remain firm in who you are. You remain firm in your identity. You remain firm in the person that you decide to be. Simply because you've made a choice. You make a choice to be something and you ignore the fear at all costs. You ignore the fear no matter what it's telling you. You ignore the fear and you move forward. I'm not saying to not make adjustments. If you truly feel like a past belief system is causing you to feel contracted and there's something else you got to do to expand, then trust that. I'm not saying to ignore your intelligence and to ignore your beliefs. Like if you believe that you've been in a certain trajectory for 20 years and you want to move up, so to speak, a little bit, by ignore your fear and be who you want regardless of fear, am I saying to dishonor your past beliefs? Absolutely not. I'm not saying to make unrealistic jumps that put you so much in fear that you don't even know who you are anymore and you're just kind of in this state of perpetual fear and anxiety and discomfort. That's not what I'm saying. Remember, everything that I share in these videos, the goal here is not to amplify your fear. It's to reduce the amount of fear and to make you feel more safe in your body. That's the whole point of these videos. Anything that you do in your life should be to decrease the amount of resistance in your life. That's what I believe. I believe we can get lost in stories and concepts about the type of people that we need to be and what we have to do and how we need to live our life, and believe that we have to do things and tell ourselves stories that increase our fear. Why would that ever be useful? If you could manifest your life how you want it in a more easeful manner with less fear and less resistance, wouldn't that be the most optimal and logical path to take? Now again, I'm not saying there's not times to go back to past beliefs, to honor your past beliefs, maybe even to go back to help some people that you were already there at some point and you want to help others to get out of that situation, right? I'm not saying that you can't do that. I'm not saying that going back to the past situations in your life and allowing yourself to honor those beliefs, and again, maybe to help people is not something you shouldn't do. Double negative, meaning it's something you can do if you want. But what I'm saying is that you got to decide to make a choice. You got to decide to be something, make a choice in that direction. And then, of course, your past will come up. But then if you gain enough momentum in a certain direction, that past will stop defining you and it will go away. It will go away. It will go away. You just got to stop believing in the fear. A good question to ask yourself, I mean, you don't want, personally, I don't like to be in contemplation mode. If I ask myself, do I have to believe in this fear while I'm in the fear, it's just going to get me more in fear, personally for me. But I'm asking you as something to think about now, perhaps to not ask yourself in the moment, but to take radical action in that direction that you want to be and be who you want regardless of the fear. That's the most important thing, is to stop believing in the fear. Don't like become the type of person that when you feel fear, you automatically cue yourself to ignore it and to carry on with your vision anyways, to be that person, regardless of what's happening, to live and be that vision that you have for yourself as if it already existed in the present moment, because it does. It does exist. The actual energy that you want already exists in this present moment. And again, when you figure that out for yourself, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go back to that energy that you've been in, just tell everybody about it. Be like, oh my gosh, like this is just like, you don't need to believe in the fear. The fear is not real. The fear is not real. The fear is not real. You don't have to believe in it. You have everything you want. Everything you want, anything that you think money can buy you, you already have it. And then you're not going to need the money at that point. You'll probably just give it away. But again, you'll have it and you're not going to need it. So the key is to realize, like, oh my gosh, like everything that you want, you already have. It already exists in this present moment. And it can happen in non-physical, weird ways that make zero sense whatsoever. Yet there it is happening, and there you are embodying exactly what you want, and you don't even know how it's happening, yet it's happening. It's happening. You don't know how, but there it is happening because you've decided to move forward. It happens very naturally. That's another point that I want to make but before I conclude this video really soon, is that it happens very naturally. So the key is to be who you want regardless of what the fear is telling you. Just be who you want to be, right? Just be who you want to be. Be who you want to be. Be who you want to be. And then let's see, how do you take action? I mean, for me personally, when I focus on what I want, it just happens. It's just my intelligence. Like sometimes I refrain from using words like deeper intelligence and consciousness. But it's like, look, I really don't know how else to say it. I don't know how else to say it. If I was to communicate to you the most specific and practical way on how to take action and get out of a negative rut in your life, think of something in your mind's eye and focus on it, and then let your deeper intelligence just take action towards that direction naturally. And then before you know it, you pick up momentum, and then that negative energy stops defining you. And then it just fades away. It becomes less and it becomes less and it becomes less. And now you're in flow. Now you're in action. Now you're just in flow and you're in your natural state. You're in your natural state. And you have everything that you need in that state, always, no matter what, at all times. And it's just peace. It's just pure peace, and you have everything you need. And the possibilities are endless. It's just what you want to imagine, what you want to create. And then you're going to be building energy, and you can use that energy for anything. You can literally use the energy for anything, right? And this is the thing, is that the possibilities are quite endless here. You can manifest anything that you want. You can create the life that you want. But the key is to start taking action, to be in flow. I believe that consciousness is not meant to be stuck. I believe that consciousness is not meant to be stuck in one place. I believe that when we believe that consciousness needs to be stuck in one place, that is simply a belief. It's something that we've told ourselves. It's a story that we tell ourselves that keeps us stuck. And then we believe we have to be stuck when really there is an alternative. There is an alternative, and we don't need to be stuck there. If you believe that you have to be stuck in your life, then you will be. You will be stuck. If you believe that you have to be stuck in your life, then you will be. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Now again, I'm not saying you can't tell people about it or share your stories with people and be honest, but for me, the more that I told people about my problems, the more that I manifested them. Now I'm not saying just, again, not a safe space to talk about it. I know that sounds repetitive, and I said that a couple times, and I'm conscious of that. But I'm also conscious that many people will be stuck, and they need to maybe hear that once or twice or 3 times to be like, okay, you can still be honest, you can still talk about your problems if you want, but just don't get stuck there. That's what I'm trying to say. Just don't get stuck there. Negative emotions are fine, they're okay, there's nothing wrong with negative emotions. You can even cry, you can scream, you can get angry, all that is fine, but it's like, how long? How long until it's like, you know what, I want to be something else. I don't want to be defined by this emotion. I don't want to be defined by the suffering. Do you want to be defined by your suffering? I don't. I don't want to be defined by my suffering personally. I personally don't allow myself to be defined by my suffering. I don't like that. I don't like to be defined by a state of consciousness that is just a state. And I don't know how else to say it. I'm so conscious that when I say a word like state of consciousness, it might be too new agey or too out there, but it's like, how else can I really say it? It's a state of consciousness, and you believe you are that state of consciousness. How can that, like, and that specific state of consciousness is a very dense and resistant state of consciousness where you feel lots of suffering. Do you want that to be your whole life? Do you want your entire existence to be defined by a state of suffering? I personally don't. I don't want my entire life to be defined by a state of suffering. I don't want my entire life to be defined by one specific state of resistance. I don't want that. Do you want that? I personally don't, and I didn't, so I let it go and I decided to be something else. And my life radically transformed, and it still does. And it continually transforms day to day to day, and more and more and more, because I see that radical action is the key to manifest my life that I truly desire and to step into the reality that I want. Radical action. And I think there's negative, what I want to share with you as well before I conclude this video, I already said that, but I want to keep going, is that also I believe that there's a negative connotation to radical action. I think that action has an incredibly negative connotation. I think that the word action, people think it means something that it doesn't actually mean. I think people think that action means that you need to increase your resistance. I think that people think that action means that you don't feel in flow. I think that people think that action means that they need to be in a state of suffering. And I think that all these things are simply wrong and that people have it backwards. And of course, I'm speaking to my past self here, right? If you ever noticed here, these videos are basically a diary of me speaking to my past self. That's all it is. And then of course, this is with the hopes that it will add value to somebody else's life. And I can only have conviction around this topic, not because I read it in a book, not because I read it watched it in some video, not because I read it on Google, but because I've personally been in the abysses of hell, my own personally created hell, and I figured out how to get on the other side of it. Now, did I do it alone? No, I had mentors, I had coaches, I had family members, I had close loved ones that supported me in this process. I didn't do it alone. Of course, I did it alone in the sense that I needed to trust myself, but the permission slips around me helped me to get to where I wanted to be, and I take full responsibility for how I did that, but I also honor and respect all the support systems that I had in my life. Obviously, I mean, maybe it's not so obvious for many people, but to me it is. And what I'm here to share with you is that the key is to simply to move forward and to take responsibility that yes, to a very large degree, we do create our own personally created hell. Like hell, look, I don't want to say anything too spiritual, too new agey, because it's going to be unrelatable to many people. But I think that hell, perhaps hell maybe is not some place you go to. What if hell can be created right here, right now? And hell is a state of consciousness where you convince yourself that you need to be in a self-created resistance, and you convince yourself that it's not self-created until you wake up and you think, wait a second, what if I'm responsible for generating this state? What if I'm responsible for creating this state of consciousness? And I say consciousness in that way because I want to be pushy a little bit, not in a way to attack you, but to be like, how else can I say it? How else am I supposed to say it? How else can I define this truth? How else am I supposed to say it? Either you stay stuck in a state of consciousness where you believe you have to create your own personally created hell of resistance and in the abysses of your own darkness and your own shadow, or you think of a vision of something greater and you decide to be something else. How else am I supposed to say it? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how else to say it. I don't know how else to say it. I feel like in my videos from now on, I just got to be more truthful, more upfront, more honest. And it's not that I haven't been honest, but it's like I need to be more direct. How else am I supposed to share this? It's like there's pretty much two states of consciousness you can, and it's not so simple, but like you can either allow fear to define you, or you can choose not to allow it to define you and move forward from it and have a greater vision for yourself. And then also I feel like people think like, oh my gosh, having a vision and using your mind, that's ego, right? That's ego. Is it? Is it ego? Let me ask you this. What do you think is more ego? What do you think is more universally aligned? Personally, let me know in the comments down below, what do you personally think? What do you actually, do you agree with this? Do you disagree with this? Does this resonate for you? I want to know. This is what I believe. I'm going to share with you firmly what I really believe. Not firmly, but like what I'm thinking, and I want to share with you what I believe. So ego, what is ego? Ego is, okay, if we were to say like, what is more ego? What is more ego? If there even is such a thing as like ego. Of course there is like such thing as ego, but like what would be more ego? Would it be to like stay stuck in some resistant, self-created resistance, personal hell, and then to believe you're stuck there? Or to think yourself out of that with your mind in the present moment? I'm not saying to not honor the present moment. It's like, oh my gosh, it's dishonoring the present moment. Right? No, I'm saying in the present moment, honoring the present moment as the only moment that exists. Think yourself out of that challenge. You think yourself out of that challenge, okay? And what you do is you get yourself out of that rut and you move forward to a higher vision, and you consistently dedicate yourself towards that vision. What do you think would be more aligned with the divine consciousness if you were to think about? Like, what would be more aligned? To move forward towards a vision, or to stay stuck in a self-created hell? What would be more egotistical if we were to say that one thing could be more ego or less ego? And of course, I guess there is, but I don't want to like put anybody into a box. This is ego, this is narcissism, this is bad, this is good, because I don't personally like to do that. I like to see everybody as equal. I like to see things as universally similar, but of course there's contrast, and things are not always equal, and things are not always the same. So, what do you think would be more ego? I think that if you were to decide what would be more ego, I think that what would be more egotistical, if we were to put it into a category like that, would be to stay stuck in some abyss of your own self-created personality, to stay stuck there. To stay stuck there as like your life. That's your life. Oh, my life is, I need to stay stuck here. That's horrible. That's absolutely terrible. That sounds terrible to me. And the worst part is, many people, and I used to do this, I'll be honest, I used to do this. I'm not attacking anybody. You know what's funny is that many people that are stuck in those realms will look at people that have more, you could say, success. And by success, what is success? How do you define success? You know what I mean? Let's make that clear for a second. That more success, I would say success is doing what you love and feeling how you want to feel, for the most part. Not to say there's not going to be challenges, not to say that you're not going to have past issues coming up, not to say that you're not going to have resistance coming up, not to say that you're not going to have pain, not to say that you're not going to have resistance, but at least you'll have a different relationship to the pain. At least you'll be able to move forward from the resistance and not stay stuck there. That's the difference. That's the difference between a successful person, is that the pain's still going to happen, but they won't linger there. They won't get stuck there. They won't have time. You know what I mean? Like, imagine you're at the store, like getting a coffee or something, and you see somebody, oh my gosh, yelling at the cashier, angry. Only people that hate themselves, that have the time of day, that judge themselves, they're going to judge that person, maybe get into argument with that person, maybe waste their time judging, arguing. The person that's successful or aligned with their highest vision, that values creating what they want with their life because they don't want to stay stuck in some weird resistant realms, they will ignore that situation. They don't have time for that situation. They don't have the capacity. I mean, they have the capacity, but they don't have the desire to channel their life force energy and their consciousness in that direction, because what is the point of that? It's a waste of time. It's a waste of energy. It's a waste of their capacity. Imagine you're building up your energy, building up your consciousness, building up your life force, and you channel it in the direction of arguing with the person yelling at the cashier at the store. What's the point of that? At least if you're going to use your emotional energy, You could channel it in direction to create something beautiful, to add value to somebody's life. That's what I do. I like to channel my energy to add value to somebody's life. I like to channel my energy to speak to my past self. I like to channel my energy to share with people, to speak to the shadows that I've been in. What else am I going to do? You have a better alternative to do something? Like what's the alternative? To argue with the person at the store? To argue with people? To judge them? To criticize them? What's the alternative here, right? So the key is to be who you want to be regardless of your fear, and to ignore all the negativity. Just ignore it. Just ignore it. You're not, and again, one thing that I want to share as well before I conclude this video is I also think that many people are going to think like, oh my gosh, but isn't that like running away from your problems? No, it's not. No, it's not. You know what it is? If you're talking about like escapism or running away from something, the true escapism is escaping from the abundance of life because you're scared to succeed. You know what people's greatest fear is? They're scared to be epic. They're scared to be successful. They're scared to be epic winners. That's people's greatest fear. People's greatest fear is the fear of winning. And then they escape into the pain. They escape into the suffering. You want to stop escaping? Don't escape into the pain. Go succeed. Go be who you want to be. And then come back and speak to the pain and help others to get out of it. That's how you win. That's what it means to win. What it means to win is to stop allowing pain to define you. It's to stop allowing your past to define who you want to be. That's what it means to win. It means that you can be who you want regardless of your fear. It means that you can be who you want regardless of the resistance. And go embody it now. Go do it now. Go do it. Visualize it. Have an intention. Be who you want to be. Imagine it. Be it. And you'll see that radical action can be one path to help you become that person that you want to be and manifest your reality doing it. So with that, I conclude this video. Excuse me. Once again, if you want to work with me one-on-one personally, I recently just launched email coaching. I also have a couple spots left for my one-on-one coaching program. All the details for that will be down below. As always, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next